So I think we're live and we're back after a long hiatus on my part because of work and other things. We are back to discuss, the good old Bitcoin. And we'll talk about, I think actually we need to pull up your video there because we're going to talk about Mr. Elon himself and Tesla and their holdings because he confirmed some things about his holdings for the Dogecoin. So we'll get into that. We're going to talk about the banks attacking the crypto companies that are out there, like BlockFi and Binance. And then we'll go into some market news from Michael Saylor himself, aka Giga Chad, aka Bitcoin Jesus, aka I don't know what to call him no more, but we're gonna call him something. And then of course, technologist, mathematician, finance guru. Yeah. But yeah, we're here with, of course, myself, Ian, the investment cipher, New Wave Crypto. He's in the building.
How we doing?
Waxo is up here, and Tania from Mocha Mommy Coffee, keeping us excited and live. How are you?
Hey, doing well.
So to get into the good stuff, and before we get into that good stuff, do some big maintenance here to make sure we're sharing stuff. Yep, and we are still running. But to celebrate, I'm gonna play this little track I heard as our little drop for today. Somebody out there is excited after Elon.
Someone is excited, I suppose.
What did Elon say? Let's get into that real quick.
Yeah,
let's hear him. What did he do for
let's get into it, right?
All the little Doge fans.
Here's what the Rocket Man said, right?
So all I did was I said, look, we're going to suspend Bitcoin transactions for now. We're not selling any Bitcoin, nor am I selling anything personally, nor is SpaceX selling any Bitcoin. Again, I want to emphasize, SpaceX, Tesla, and I own Bitcoin. I also own a little bit of Ethereum and Doge, but the companies just own Bitcoin, and the Bitcoin that I own is worth much more than the Ethereum or Doge.
Okay. First off, you said Doge like multiple times, guys.
Now, yeah.
If you're a Doge fan, you're a Doge fan, you're excited right now. You are excited, right? Am I right?
Some marketing. I mean, you have to hear what he said. He said that no formal company owns Doge.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
The formal companies only own Satoshis. At the end of the day, I think companies are more interested in a deflationary model to hedge against inflation rather than something that is built on an inflation model in Keynesian economics, right?
Mm-hmm.
A retail investor is more prone to accumulate Doge, whereas someone who is in the interest of building wealth and also their value on their books is interested in Bitcoin because of the deflationary tokenomics, right? I think there are key details in there. And also Ethereum doesn't really have a set supply too. However, I know that a lot of Wall Street is into decentralized finance because of a lot of the things that we're seeing with personalized credit being kind of nixed by certain banks in the US. And I don't know what the story is for the rest of the global markets and banks, but I mean, loans are really, collateralized loans on property and also tokens is something that's happening in DeFi. I don't know. It's very interesting. What do you think, Tania?
I'm glad you pointed that out. It was very clear that he was making the distinction between what the company owned and what he owned. So I was going to ask what that was supposed to mean. It sounded like he was speaking in code.
Yeah, it's definitely clear because he wants to first off put out there like, hey, I'm not telling you the company holds it. I do. I see some value in it. Mm-hmm. But instinctively he said, my Bitcoin holding is higher. You should think about why. Why is your Bitcoin holding higher than the thing you've been shilling online?
Underline much higher. It outscopes what those holdings are comparatively. So, I mean, we can decide what the percentage of that is, but at the end of the day, that's the wording that was used, and that is just what ultimately has been said by him. I don't know. That's my take, of course. So, I don't know.
The one thing though, did you also notice he's dropped that SpaceX owned Bitcoin? I don't think before this there was an admission of that. Did you hear anything, Tania?
No, I hadn't.
Not until that point. So yeah, we got some good insight there. We got some whatever he's holding, what bags he's holding, and we got what the companies are holding all in one. And that was probably the height of the news, because everything else in that conference was kind of like blah. What do you guys think?
That was shocking to me, because I know that he's been so vocal specifically about Tesla, and Tesla is more of a kind of like grounded thing, whereas you have SpaceX, which is actually working with public entities and the U.S. government for some space exploration exercises and programs. I mean, you know, like they have official programs with NASA that they do, and NASA contracts that out for the most part. I mean, it's just interesting to see kind of something that's associated with the public program and also public agencies such as NASA be owning on the books a decentralized asset such as this. But I mean, what does that say for the future of other companies and networks that are going to be working with that? I mean, Microsoft is already believing that, you know, the immutability and also public nature of Microsoft, and what am I talking about? Bitcoin is beneficiary to identification in terms of the utility that Microsoft sees in it. So, yeah. I mean, who knows where this could possibly go, whether it's Bitcoin itself or the blockchain technology. I mean, it's just, the sky's the limit when you think of it like that.
Yep. Definitely. There's going to be some copycats to this move. But so what I'm looking at from a copycat perspective, and it might not seem that way off the jump, is what's happening with the banks and their attack on some of the crypto companies that are out there. Binance, last week, it was all about Binance being told that they can't be doing derivatives in the UK, and all those banks like Barclays stopping them from allowing people from sending money to the exchange. That was, to me, an attack on the biggest exchange for crypto that's out there, which is currently Binance. Coinbase could get it at some point when it comes to other countries, maybe. Who knows? Now that they're on the stock market, they might be fine. But this week, the attack that, well, the cease and desist order that New Jersey's attorney general sent to Binance, BlockFi, who's like a bank that's allowing you to put your crypto on there and get returns or interest back. It's kind of like, okay, we see you making money. You see people jumping on the wave. How can we stop you? We'll find a way. And in this article, they talk about essentially that BlockFi is using unregistered securities, like what they would probably consider like tokens like that are not defined yet. So what they are, like maybe you could point at Dogecoin, Aave, all these other coins are not registered with the SEC. If they're using that to give their customers interest payments, that is actually in a space where the SEC should have some regulation. If you're not registered with them, you're basically breaking the law. What do you guys think about this? Is this an attack like I'm seeing it, or am I just thinking?
No. That brings up a good point. So honestly, this brings up in the question the legality of any proof of stake token that has any type of interest program in effect and in action. I mean, this brings up a lot of the layer 2 solutions that we see, like Polkadot, and it brings up to question Zilliqa, anyone who owns that in the US at least. It also, I don't know what the UK politics on this are, if there's clamped down on any of that. But, I mean, anyone earning interest on anything, it just brings into question, okay, well, does the IRS need to start collecting a bag in order for this to be legal? Like, in terms of how the US government likes to act like a mob boss. Give me a little cut under the table and we'll be good with this. Does there need to be some type of regulation to where they feel like they're getting enough of a good deal that, you know, we end up getting not so good of a deal as retail investors? And it brings up a lot of questions, especially since BlockFi is offering such interesting deals. I personally wasn't invested with BlockFi, but some of the things that I saw in being talked about from their platform were definitely ideal, especially with stable coins. Tania, what do you think?
So there's a lot here that I still need to learn about, like what exactly a layer 2 solution is. But someone just getting into the space, like I didn't know about their little incident in May where they accidentally sent out a whole bunch of Bitcoin to people and then had to go through the process of pulling that back.
Yeah, like who was going to send Bitcoin back when they just got a whole bunch of Bitcoin sent to them, right?
That's concerning.
Yeah.
That's concerning. So right now, this just has me focusing on cold wallet storage. I just want to be safe and do the protection myself.
Yeah, that's a good way to look at it, because
Absolutely.
right now the banks are probably going to say, look, they're making these mistakes, they're getting hacked, they're sending your Bitcoin to the wrong person. How about you come to us? We're safe. We're the Goldman Sachses in the world. We're better at this. And that's where I think the copycat features come in. They downplay what's out there now for the cryptocurrency space. And then slowly but surely, they're going to come out saying, oh, we got you. Don't worry. We can give you the money, and we can hold your money and use it and give you back interest.
I have a point real quick. I
Go
mean,
ahead.
remember in 2008?
Mhm.
You know what I'm talking about, right?
What?
We had
It
that
feels like
giant
the same.
crash.
Yeah.
Feels like
We
the
had that-
same old trap.
When we had that giant crash, right? Retail investors on their property, mostly people of color who had subprime mortgages, really crap mortgages, got screwed and their credit tanked. Mass amounts of people who had subprime mortgages. This ended up sending houses into a down spiral in terms of value, and people's entire livelihoods got destroyed in a very short amount of time. When that happened, we had a mass amount of banks step in, and billionaires and entities snatch up every single piece of affordable housing and property. Property is the key word, right? And they snatched it. That supply is now in their wallet, right? What makes this any different from the snatching of a feasible asset that is able to be bought by somebody right now? This is the same playbook. People need to. I love that you were talking about wallet storage, because at the end of the day, the value of homes, what happened in the last year when we had 6% inflation from last year? What happened? Just answer it for me real quick.
They put all the value into the assets.
Well, no. Have you heard stories of people who are homeowners when they bought before what has happened? Have you heard the kind of gains that they've
I
been able
mean,
to see on their property?
I'm a homeowner, so I see it. I see it.
Could you discuss that real quick?
I mean, yeah, it's what you're seeing is there's an influx of cash being put out there in the world, right? And people who are able to purchase assets have seen a rise in the equity of that asset. Specifically, if you want to talk about real estate, for the last couple of years, it's not a year really. It's significantly rise. I mean, today is a actual realtor. So she's definitely seen it from a selling point of view.
Tell me about it, Tania. Like, I mean, it's just ridiculous. I see some people talking about in California on 40 an hour away in the hills, right? Talking about, I have 400% gains right now in my home. Yeah.
Yeah, sorry. It sounds ridiculous, but when I saw 40% and I had just bought this house, I bought this in the middle of COVID. So when I saw 40% rise, I was like, whoa, this was a good purchase. But realistically, what's happening is people's outbidding each other. But yeah, Tania, what were you seeing?
I don't know what it's based off of, and it was unpredicted. When the crash, when the pandemic first started, there was a lot of we were just unsure of where it was going to go. Nobody predicted that you would start off bidding over asking price just to be in the game.
Right.
So it's a crazy market.
And I mean, why is that though? Can you talk to me about the supply of housing? Is there a lot?
It's not there. It's not there.
See, a supply squeeze.
Low, so.
Okay, so that's where
it's a supply squeeze.
That's where you're going with that. But yeah,
Say what?
A supply squeeze.
Shortage.
Okay.
Shortage on the assets.
Just like there was a supply squeeze because all the housing is bought by entities, billionaire entities who have offshore accounts, banks, all of that. So when you get this mass amount of wealth injected into a certain specific market, it doesn't matter what it is. It could be oil, it could be lumber, which got 250% since last year. I think it might have crashed a little bit since then.
It might have hit 3, bro. Honestly, it's probably three something. It's
ridiculous.
The budgets for wood on home building right now, you gotta triple them at this point.
It is ridiculous. So when that amount of wealth and that amount of hoarding of supply happens, the price skyrockets. So when you are selling your Bitcoin as a retail investor, you are giving the same people who hoarded all of the housing, and it's global. This is a global issue. Like, it's not just the United States, guys. I mean, when you give them that power, you are giving them the ability to also do the same thing to these tokenomics that we see at play, which are very readily accessible. Yeah, we're thinking, oh, 60,000 or 30,000 for a Bitcoin. Oh, that's so expensive. But houses were that expensive in like, what? Like, not even, I need to look this up to proofread, right? But like, I mean, it was not that expensive 50 years ago, right? 60 years ago to own a house. Home ownership was not that hard to have. You will have Bitcoin ownership become that difficult because a $30,000 Bitcoin is going to look like a dream compared to a $100 million Bitcoin or a $1 million Bitcoin, right? So it's just understanding you got to put your feet down. You got to at least put a little money in it, just a little bit, right? And you're going to be much better off. Because these people who have hordes of wealth don't care about you and they don't care about me. At the end of the day, and they want to accumulate. That is the name of the game for anyone who has that much wealth and that much fiat and that much debt. And it's been that way since we got off the gold standard in 1971 from Nixon.
Gotcha. Yeah, definitely not financial advice, but it is being treated like a property.
Not
and
financial
it is
advice.
Yeah,
that is what they are doing.
It is an asset that's being, which leads into the other statement that came out from Goldman Sachs. They did a survey with their family offices, and basically, found out that out of 150 family offices, 15% are already diving into that good old cryptocurrency, and another 45% are actually thinking about it. They're interested. So it's happening even while Bitcoin's down. This is a survey that just came out this week. And if you're trying to figure out how much a family office owns, well, out of the 150, 22% had 5 billion or more. Okay, so these family offices handle the wealth of the wealthy individuals that they have as clients, and the other 45% that they surveyed had basically $5 billion.
When we talk about family office, do we mean mom and pop?
No, well, it's essentially, you wouldn't consider this a hedge fund, but it's basically that for like smaller entities, right? So they're not handling trillions like your BlackRocks and stuff like that, or your Guggenheims, but they're handling some significant amount of money that's now looking at, okay, where do we put our dollars, which are basically losing buying power, can't hold on to and hoard cash because you're printing more every day. Where do we put it? Okay, crypto looks feasible. And probably as new generations come into play to wealth and they are seeing their money deplete from older investments, maybe gold, they'll probably change their mind and say, hey, crypto looking interesting. Let me dive into that. So yeah, definitely it's happening. Hopefully, people are able to get their hands on it if they believe in what it is before all these banks come and family offices come and scoop it all up, because they're not running as much as people think. Talking about,
that's a little scary.
It is.
It's happened for years and years. We just kind of have to open our eyes to it and get to where they're going before they do.
Notice how it's during the extreme fear, right?
Yeah.
Of the market.
Which we gotta wonder who's causing the fear, right? Who's behind the media? These articles are very entertaining, but you kind of have to wonder if it's being pushed to you to make sure you jump off the ride and lose your seat. So definitely do your own research, put a little effort into it.
Yep. So I think a lot more is required of us to do our research and to make sure we're taking it into our own hands, like doing research on the companies you choose to park your money in, or whatever method you choose to do that in. So a lot more is required of us in this day and age.
And also upon our institutions to educate people financially. I mean, the most financial education I've had recently has been the last 2 years of my life. Why did I ever get that? I'm 27 years old. That is how much? Like, that's not so much of a percentage of my life. If I had this, at least in high school to some degree, like, imagine that. I had a Texas school education, right? One of the worst in the nation. And we had nothing like this to prepare ourselves for any of this. And it just feels like at the end of the day, it just is bred into people and put into the mentality. I think more of it just needs to be put onto people. Like, we need some of these issues taught to people. Basic economics. It shouldn't be an elective course. It should be a mandatory course. And I mean, not understanding it could doom somebody, you know?
Yeah, definitely. It would have set people up in the right, base level to get some of this knowledge a little faster. So that's why we're here, trying to push that information out to those who might have missed out at the early time and help them get to where we're at, and not, lose their seat on a ride that's going into financial freedom. So the other weird thing, this is a quick little burst before we go into your technical analysis and the market update from Mr. Michael Saylor. So apparently the internet had problems, which caused banks to have problems. I mean, a whole bunch of things had problems, but you would think the internet would have a little backup plan if something gets disrupted. But apparently a ton of banks lost their connection, and essentially no one could get to their money from anywhere on the internet. It almost seemed like it was on purpose. I don't know what was behind this, but Bitcoin isn't gone down. Bitcoin was still up. That's all I'm gotta say. Did y'all experience any problems at y'all banks today?
Silence.
Okay. It's like, nope, your bank's Bitcoin, so you're fine. Exactly.
Right.
My Bitcoin wallet was fine. I think I'm good.
That was fine.
Banking off.
Everything was fine, but go ahead, Tania. I'm sorry.
Oh, I was just going to say, I was reading that article, and it was funny because in one paragraph, they're saying that the internet was back because of a company, Akami, but they're also saying that the outage was also because of that same company. I had to throw my hands up.
Right. It says it's like you caused it. There's no reason to tell me it's back because of you. You fixed the problem. Say that, and you'll never make it happen again. Right? That's what you're gonna tell me, but you can't, because a lot of the internet is centralized. Like, people think, oh, there's millions of computers connected together. Well, yes, but through a source that is owned by a lot of blue chip companies. I don't know, Amazon, the Googles. They're all centralized points that we all go through to get to the information we're trying to get to. And that's why some people are looking like, okay, maybe we need other means of building this internet where the companies that have run this entire world so far can't get their hands and scoop up all of it.
Unfortunately, Internet Computer kind of screwed the pooch on that one.
Yeah, I'm not even gonna go into that altcoin right now. But
I'm just letting you know there have been efforts. But I mean,
for sure.
Holochain is one of those projects that is looking to kind of do that.
Gotcha.
I would advise people research it and just look into it. Just Google it, give it a look, and see what their kind of goal is to kind of push even further back. Because I mean, what happens when someone pulls the plug on the internet and all types of web services and you can't access your Bitcoin? That's like nightmare scenario, right? So I mean, definitely look at other instances of deeper solutions there. So.
Yeah, it is a concern for some people that Bitcoin runs on the internet in some way, so it'll be a problem. So there are solutions even for that when it comes to developers building like Morse code reading devices that can transfer information to the blockchain. There's even a satellite in space that a crypto company sent, so that just in case the internet goes down, you'll still be able to communicate and send Bitcoin. Yeah,
that's deep.
Yeah, they literally. Go ahead, Google.
But that's more than what the banks are doing, because if it goes down, you can't access your bank account.
Bruh, the banks aren't thinking about it because they got insurance for that. They're like literally insured against everything. So
how they gonna get the money to me from the insurance though if the
they're
internet
not.
goes
That's the
down?
thing. They're insured. I ain't say they're insuring you. They're insuring them. They want to
Love
make
me.
sure.
Silly me.
Yeah. You got that's the problem, right? They're like, we'll hold your
I
money.
forgot they don't care.
Let me just, I don't know. I just literally got the top result. This is ridiculous. It's called blockstream.com/satellite.
Yeah, it's real.
This is wild. This is the first time let me share this
People,
real quick. I feel like
go
this
ahead.
is a
No, share
Jamie
it.
moment. Hold on.
People think Dogecoin going to the moon is anything, and just so we're clear, they're literally just
Here it
sending a
is.
coin to the
This is
moon.
ridiculous.
Here we go. Blockstream literally was like, bruh, we don't need to have internet. We are the future of,
this is
of money
absolutely
transfer.
wild.
Wow.
This is the first time I'm seeing this. So I need to obviously research this a little bit more, as everybody who's watching this too, because I'm seeing it with my first eyes. But it's just novel to see that, people a part of this network are trying to think of other solutions to mitigate some of the downfalls of what we just witnessed today. So this is reassuring.
But that's kind of indicative of the community, right? Forward thinking.
For sure.
Focused on problems.
Yep. It's incentivizing a lot of change, right? It's no reason to think that it's going to stay in a bad situation, bad environment for long, because being a part of this network, it rewards you for making sure it's stronger. It's literally the most incentivized network out there. Miners want cheaper energy so they can keep mining more Bitcoin without paying a lot and hoard all that Bitcoin. Same way these payment rail companies are probably going to come in and say, all right, if I can build a gateway to make sure people can pay whenever anything bad goes, they'll use my gateway, maybe pay me a little bit on top of it. So I'm pretty sure Blockstream is going to put like a lightning node or whatever in the cloud, or where in the space. I can't even say the cloud. Whatever they're going to coin that terminology, and try to get rewards for running that satellite constantly. So I'm willing to put some money into that to make sure I have a means of paying somebody whenever the internet goes down again, which is inevitable.
Real quick, I mean, something that's interesting too, especially at the state of the market, like we've seen almost a 50% correction. Some people were saying, myself included, 20 to 25K might be a price prediction. I mean, but at the end of the day, with the technology like this, even if you did have that kind of correction, yes, it's a short-term loss, but what is the long-term gain from such a technology that people still seem very diehard about, even at upper echelons? I think Michael Saylor put it really well in this clip I have queued up for us.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, let's get to that clip, because it does give some insight into what's been happening in the markets.
Because I don't know. I'll let him speak for himself, right?
Yeah, let's go ahead and hit the share button on it, and I'll add it to the screen, and then we can, after that, go right into that technical analysis of the good old Bitcoin. Michael, take it away.
Look, my company buys Bitcoin at 35,000. I would have paid 70,000, Scott. If this had not happened, then Bitcoin would have gone 60 to 70 to 90 to 100. We'd be paying 100,000. You got two types of people. You got the long-term people that said, but for the Chinese exodus, we would have had to overpay. And you got the short-term people that said, haha, you're so stupid. You bought it at 50,000 and now it's 35,000. Haha, you should have shorted it. Well, shorting is like shorting electricity. If you understand that Bitcoin is digital property rights for 8 billion people going to change the earth, then you think this is just volatility and it's a buying opportunity and it's a windfall. And if you think Bitcoin is a random speculative gambling asset of no consequence with no underlying value, then you think, it's like you were stupid. You shouldn't have bought it. And obviously, the technologists that understand it, we think it's a decentralized, sound digital property network that can serve as the basis of the 21st century economy. This is $1 trillion mistake for China, because they had 60% of Bitcoin mining. It was worth 12 billion a year plus all the Bitcoin, and it was doubling every year, and it was going to $100 trillion. and they could have had trillions and trillions of dollars. And instead, they held a gun to the head of their holders. If I said to you, Scott, you have to sell all your stock in Google, how much would you have lost?
Bruh.
And I mean, that in itself is why I think, yeah, we'll correct, but I think institutions aren't going to be letting go like that. When institutions got interested, what price were we around? Right? We were around the 15, if not 10, to 20K. I mean, a lot of more people bought around the 30, 40, 60, right? In terms of institutional buy-in. But they're not moving.
Right.
I mean, who is moving? People in countries who want to liquidate people in their country and want a seizure. And that's such a short-sighted move, I think, in terms of what the technology offers. And the something else he talked about in the interview, you can go ahead and look it up. Michael Saylor on Bitcoin. It was on July 20th, 2021, just so everyone knows.
Because you're watching this in the future.
Yeah, exactly.
You're like, Bitcoin, Bitcoin was only 30,000.
No, when it's like a million, yeah. But I mean, it's one of those things where he was just like, you know, at the end of the day, this investment. Oh, we lost Tania.
Oh, well, okay. Well, I had
She'll
her
be
back in a bit.
Michael Saylor went on to say, I believe, I totally lost my train of thought, but it was talking about just how short-sighted it is to kind of let go of the opportunity at hand. Right now, we obviously have a big void in the market with the absence of Chinese buyers and Chinese miners. But with that brings opportunity to countries like in Latin America, countries in Southwestern Asia, countries in Africa. It just really opens it up for a lot of other people. You heard him. 60% of the mining, 60% at a $12 billion profit every year at the current halving rate, right?
Yeah, they were making a lot. Like every day, it was a Christmas day for them.
Right? And the fact that that government was so threatened by this kind of asset class, this technology, I mean, you see what their internet is like today, right? You can barely access anything. On the Nintendo store, on your Nintendo Switch, you can only get Mario, I think. That's the only game you can get. You can't get any other game. I might be wrong.
Shut down.
You can definitely Google this right now, everybody in chat, if you're watching this right now. But it's just a really surreal thing. Yeah, it's a very limited thing. They have their own bubble. They have Alibaba, which is what Michael Saylor went on to later say. They're going to sequester themselves, but they're not going to be able to participate in the global markets, which is what a lot of other people are looking at. And, you know, something that I look to, and I always look at history, right? Oda Nobunaga unified Japan because he was able to get a bunch of people who were peasants and train them like actual soldiers. And they were fighting people who were elite. And at that point, the elite fell down to them because they had everything to gain because they didn't have anything. So in that essence, if you can understand that you have everything to gain right now and that someone literally just gave up something because they are stuck in their own ways, you have everything to gain. Take it. Not financial advice. Only invest what you can at the end of the day with any investment, right? It's speculative, but I think everything is kind of falling into place, at least with the data, at least from what I see in my own personal bias. And that is my own personal opinion and how I kind of look at the whole thing, right?
Gotcha.
So
Tania's back. And don't be this DC. Don't be like Malaysia, essentially.
Right,
don't decide to destroy
the amount of labor that went to sourcing all these parts too.
And then go destroy them when you could have turned them on and generated money, essentially. Instead, you're trying to prove a point, which you're just going to regret later on when you realize you gave away the gold mine. Or at least the machine that's digging the gold.
Is it playing right now?
That's so insane.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's nuts. But before we wrap this up, we got to make sure we go into that technical stuff that you're able to break down for us.
Absolutely.
After
feel free to chime in and ask questions when I'm going through it, by the way.
Oh, for sure. I got a lot of questions because I really want to know which is going to be. I can't
And I
say
do
that
have
it's
some
easy to.
metrics.
Oh, you do have, okay.
Yeah,
'Cause
I have
I
some
would,
metrics that I just know off the top of my head about things that are for sure that are happening, especially with
okay.
buying habits. Let me go ahead and share my screen real quick, guys.
Yep.
Thank you for everybody who's in the chat, by the way. I hope you're having a great time tonight. I
Yeah,
hope we've been
definitely.
informative.
Appreciate y'all coming in. Feel free to like, share, and subscribe and all that good stuff. Comment below if you want to hear some insight on the Bitcoin technical analysis. And New Wave, you got it.
No
Tell us
problem.
what's going on these Bitcoin charts.
So, macro, right? We do have an uncertainty in price action. I outlined in these boxes right here. And we're using daily time charts, by the way. I hardly ever use something less than hourly. 4 hours, good time, because a lot of people trade on the 4 hour. But these boxes right here are key points where accumulation periods are happening. On the fib retracement right here, we got basically, I think I'm a little over right here. We kind of like, what was the high? 64,800 right there. You see, we have the 382 right here at 41,000. When we bounce all the way down from the 0 right here, we did hit a major resistance on the 382. If we were able to get through that, we would have been fine. We would have been back on our trajectory, right? That didn't happen. What ended up happening is that we bounced off that 618, which was right here. Thank God we didn't go all the way down to the 27,000, but we were so close to it. We're in this little box right here at about 29 to 28,000. We're dipping our toes in this little box, which shows that we have a nice little bit of resistance here. But we aren't necessarily getting right back to where we need to be, which is this 0.5, this 34K, right? If we can get past that within the next 2 weeks, we're going to be golden, right? If we can settle out here on the daily and we can get a even better, a weekly above this and even kind of teasing a breakout on the 41, we're going to be fine. However, this is for everyone out there who is thinking, maybe I should wait. Like, we do have obvious bear signals here, right? So I have the RSI kind of tracked out here. And on the daily RSI, yeah, look at this. We have a 50. We go all the way to an overbought at 90. And we kind of have this delineation all the way down. We still have a trend line that kind of touches all the heads here. Yeah, we kind of have a break here, but only until we can kind of break this pattern that we're getting, this triangle, are we going to really be able to get past these levels of resistance that I've outlined on the chart here. I mean, look at this run all the way from, what is it? I believe it was, it must have been about 3,500. I can't remember the exact price, but it was around that range. We were so oversold. We were at 14, right?
Mm-hmm.
Boom, volume. And we continued that all the way, and we had a steady rise up all the way to our 64,000 price. Now, what this indicates... Go ahead, Tania.
Can I ask, what's the RSI? What is this bottom chart?
So relative strength indicator is
okay.
Indicator that shows whether we are overselling an asset or we are overbought. We are overbought and we're at the 90, right? Thank you for asking, because a lot of people might be watching this and be like, what is this man talking about? If we are over this range, and that starts usually about 70, that is when we are in danger, right? That means we could potentially see a downside with everything, right? Think of someone who's breathing oxygen. Like, we are breathing in, we're getting all the oxygen we need, but at some point we need to let out because we have a bunch of CO2, and if we don't let out, we're going to explode, right? A healthy body will be breathing normally.
Will
right?
explode?
And a healthy body that isn't
Okay.
will die. So, I mean, it's healthy for us to see these kind of corrections where we have the overbought and we go back to about, a 40 in this range, from 70 to 30. This is a decent, healthy range, right? If you're in these, it's generally okay to buy, especially look at your daily, look at your weekly. and even your monthly. Each one will give you a different narrative, but dailies are pretty good for the RSI indicator because this gives you enough data on the daily and every day about how strong is this asset. Is it showing a negative trend? And you can chart the tops of the RSI to show you exactly where that trend is. And as you can see, we're at the 90 here on the 64,000, right? We were way overbought on the 42, right? We sold, we corrected to 29, boom, 42. But this is a higher low at 29,000. This low is like kind of the first low that this has been logged as a technical low, right, in January of the year. So we were at the 40, we bounced off the 40, and we went to an oversold 81 at 58. Then we sold again at a higher low, and we bounced steadily on the 41, 42. We had stability at a higher low. So we rocketed up to 62. We bounced higher low. But again, you can kind of see some of this energy, even in the volume here. Let me see if I can get in there. The volume is just not as significant as certain areas right here, right? We obviously see more volume here happening. But we still kept rallying. And the thing is, as soon as we didn't get to that overbought period, the volume was just not there for us to continue further. So of course we're going to go down. If we were able to get down here, right, and we hit the 46 and we were able to stay here, but then bounce up to like an 80 or whatever, this would look like a completely different RSI. We might even have the same trend that I indicated with here with this green line here. So
Gotcha.
we definitely changed course at that point. And I mean, now I kind of pointed this out. Our real line right here at the 50, we are showing resistance here. Like maybe we go out above it, which is like basically the steady line. You know, it's from 100 to 0. But we're showing resistance at this. We're a little bit over it, and then we get scared. And I think that deals with the fear in the market. But where's the fear coming from? And that's what ultimately what I want to talk about, because the fear is coming from retail investors. It's not coming from whales. It's not coming from long-term hodlers. It's not coming from people who have mass amounts of this stuff. They are buying this dip. 64,000, as you heard Michael Saylor say, I would have bought this at 100K. I don't care.
Yeah, he's not stopping.
I don't
Definitely
care.
not stopping. Well, yeah, the technicals are going to tell you one thing for sure, but he's looking at it from a technological standpoint. So he's looking like it's undervalued no matter what the charts are saying. If it's on some trajectory to go down, then sounds like it's ready for him time for him to buy more than he normally would.
Yeah, and it's not to say like, oh yeah, we're going back up. I fully expect us. Let me bring that chart back up again, just so I can say, without a shadow of a doubt, you'll be prepared if this happens, right? See this golden box I have right here? If we hit 35K, just like we had happen, let's go to the weekly, right? We hit 35K. See that? See how we dropped down from this 40? We kind of wanted to go back and touch this 0.382 at the 41. We got rejected. I fully expect us to reject at 35 right now. That's my personal bias. But if we're able, now this is another scenario, not my personal bias. If we're able to push through the 34 to the 37 and we're able to close above this and a nice green candle, we will potentially be able to test the 41. And if we can bounce off the 37 and gain support, then we can change this trend around. But, I mean, it's still well within the reach to hit these 23 to 25 levels. I mean, 27, if we lose this, oh man, it's going to be a bloody day indeed. Because, I mean, the next fib retracement's at the 16. And, I mean, we're seeing on the weekly, I mean, a range of 16 to 19, right? So something around here could be the next area of support. And I mean, that's if we lose the bottom here, right?
Yeah.
So I'm just letting everyone know out there, just trying to be responsible, right? Like, this is what you got to watch out for. And I mean, having a buy order there for like a
miracle plays.
Yeah, a certain amount, right? That is a fine place to put a buy order. Just leave it there. That money's not going anywhere. at least split some of that pool of money you got, right? Put that there just in case. Because, hey, $1,000 there is going to be a lot more Bitcoin than $1,000 at 25,000.
I see your point. I'm definitely getting myself prepared with some dry powder just in case the 25K Bitcoin shows up. I don't want to miss
You
out.
never know. This is
Just
crypto.
set that order. You never know. Coinbase might have a glitch again, and then the order books crash, and I just somehow get $100 Bitcoin, like it happened in 2017. I didn't get lucky because I didn't think that was possible. But
I did know someone who got 1,000 Ethereum in 2017 with that
because of the crash.
Yeah, ridiculous.
Yeah, it's very interesting.
Yeah.
So don't think miracles don't happen. They tend to happen in crypto.
Sometimes your prayers are answered, but no, don't count on it, guys.
Right, not financial advice.
Tania, what do you think about this kind of analysis and what we were just talking about and how it kind of adds up?
So when you say that you feel like the fear is coming from the retailer, I feel like it's stuff like this that kind of dispels all of the information that's coming left and right from different interests. It can really sway someone who is not clear on what their goals are and not fully understanding the longevity of what's going on here with Bitcoin. So this definitely provides a little bit more stability, thinking about it in terms of patterns.
And I mean, the one thing with this is that, I mean, people keep dumping money into this institutionally too. And I just see it time and time again. It's just, I don't know. It's very interesting to see the likes of SpaceX start joining the talks, right?
Yeah.
I didn't see that. Especially in such a forum like that when everybody was tuned in. So,
Right. It was like, what? Double take?
What? Huh?
Say it again?
You work
Bitcoin?
with the government. Hold up. What?
But yeah, it's an interesting space, man. That's why I'm trying to keep up with the news and deliver as much insight as possible that we already have to the masses through this platform. And I appreciate y'all for joining in and helping to share y'all knowledge, because there's no way I would have understood what's going on in these charts. I know about RSI, but damn it, I didn't know I could draw lines on it and figure out a trend out of it. I was just waiting for it to go past the overbought part, because what goes up must come down. That's how I was looking at it.
Think of it like breathing, man. You got to breathe properly.
I was just thinking about throwing up a rock and then trying to move out the way of the rock before it hits my head. That's what I was thinking when I looked at RSI.
People call me crazy when I start pointing these. I'm just like, hey, man,
like breathing
techniques. There's something to it.
In and out. Bitcoin teaches you how to breathe. So if anybody wants to continue seeing this good info from you, Mr. New Wave, where did they go?
Go to New Wave Crypto on Twitter, one word. I'm going to try and clip some of this stuff out so this kind of lives on. And I'll talk with you about that afterwards. And, I'm going to try and be a little bit more on the ball with the technical analysis, because either way, I have my own personal bias and my own investment, but I like to at least, I sometimes bet against my own technical analysis. That's just the kind of person I am, because at the end of the day, I have certain income that I can put into this that I'm okay with not being emotional about. And that's at least the winning strategy that I've had. And I want everybody here, this is not financial advice on any part, what I just said in this podcast or video stream, but I want everyone to kind of create their own bias and their own principles that they can invest on, and use my information as a resource tool and an education tool, not financial advice. And definitely do your own research, as Tania has said. It's so important, guys. Yep.
Tania, any platforms they can connect with you on? Don't forget to tell about Clubhouse.
Yes, we are on Clubhouse doing rooms to have these conversations Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. But thank you guys for allowing me in this space. I'm learning. I'm a newbie, so I really appreciate you guys sharing your knowledge and your experience.
Yeah, we got to give you something to do with all the coffee energy from your coffee company, Mocha Mommy Coffee.
It's nice to have your point of view too, because it's just like, I remember when I was in your shoes and it was just like, what's going on? But it was just such a novel point of view too, because everyone who was also experienced was just like, well, what do you think about this? So it's really cool to have you on the podcast and the live stream, etc. So appreciate it.
Thank you.
Cool.
Thank you, Ian.
No problem, guys. Once again, this has been the Investment Cypher Podcast, which is giving you some info, sharing all our knowledge that we've attained over the time that we have been in this space. Feel free to subscribe, like, share, all that good stuff at the Investment Cipher on all the platforms that you know, love, and subscribe to. Until next time, we are out. So I guess we got to say peace.
Peace and don't get wrecked.
Like that.